Recharge 2015 Ford Fusion. And we're going to come back to this sticker on the different charge amounts. Somebody in Europe told me another place, I've heard this more than once, and I got another one, that in Europe they don't give you those stickers, so you could have the advantage of knowing what kind of oil, how much oil, and recharge. So this is the model, body model, and this is a titanium. So that's the model on this one, and you can match it up with the sticker. See if they have the engine. They don't have the engine sticker under here, but here we go on the sticker. So depending on the engine size and which engine will depend on what the recharge amount is. And here is the hybrid one right over here, and it's POE oil, and they even give you the manufacturer's part number right there. That's the Ford part number for their POE oil, and this is their part number for their PAG oil. And as you can see, here's your difference on charge amounts. And in this one, they don't give you the oil quantity on this one. So on this one here, we have a hybrid model. This is the hybrid model. There's the high voltage line right there. So we're gonna go over to the hybrid. And we know this one's 567 grams, 20 ounces, or 1.5 pounds. And we have the dielectric high voltage resistance POE oil there. And this one here, actually, this is my first time at this shop. I was just called in this shop. They got me by chance and accident and luck. It was a recommendation from a secretary who was doing the books for another shop who quit and then left and came over here. And this is one city away from San Francisco, and I was just about ready to leave. I'm heading to San Francisco, and they asked me, we have an emergency, we need a car, hopefully we could get it charged today so we could get it detailed and finished and delivered. So as I was driving up the highway, I said, okay, I'll pull over, I'll come off at your exit because you're going to be right by where I go by. And I stopped here, but the owner asked me, what's your price? And I go, my price is $368.10, because this is a 134 vehicle, so this is a cheap vehicle. That's a cheap charge. And it's not a YF vehicle where it's $207 a pound. Because as long as it's a 134 vehicle, the way I do it, I give passenger vehicles a set price. I give commercial vehicles per pound. When you start getting into vans, trucks, buses, and stuff like that, then I switch over to per pound on 134. But passenger vehicles, I can make it really easy on them and just give them a set price. So $168.10 is for a regular vehicle that I do in my area here. And they said, come on down. So that only took a 10-second decision. And here I am at a new shop right now, and just getting ready to charge this one. What else can I say? It's a one good advantage about being in this business, and any business, whether you're the tire repair guy, mobile, or you are the upholstery repair guy, or you're the airbag guy, or the electrical specialist, you're the drivability specialist, you're the guy who does the locks, and you're mobile. If you're really good and get known in your area, and you just outdo everybody, and your prices are higher than everybody else, but you outdo everybody, you'll constantly, every day, be recommended new customers, whether you want them or not. You're too full and you're too busy. Sometimes too many customers is a bad thing. But that's one thing about this business. And I'm in an area right now, where I'm standing right now. 30 years ago, I used to do about a dozen shops just within, say, a 3-block area of this point right here. And none of them are in business anymore. And then we're talking about body shops, not the mechanical shops. There's 2 mechanical shops that are still in business within this 3-block business that were here 30 years ago. But other than that, about 3 dozen body shops, none of them are the same owners anymore. Very few of them are the same name, and they've gone through several owners, gone bankrupt, shut down. Their rent was doubled because new owner bought the building. And this is a repeat history thing I see in all these shops that go, it's a divorce, a death, somebody sold the business, the land out from under them and not renewing their lease or doubling their rent. And every one of these shops keep going out of business. And it's basically you committed suicide yourself if you're not charging the correct price to pay this day. You look at this day and you look at the going labor rate, not the going labor rate, but the going rent price per square foot in your commercial business. Just because you have a nice cushy lease from 5 or 10 years ago when the prices were low, your lease is coming up. This day, overnight, can your rent be doubled and you can easily stay in business, no problem? It won't hurt your bottom line, and it won't hurt your employees from getting raises or having their medical, their dental, their vacation time. If the answer is no, then you're doing something really, really wrong, and you're going to be on my list of shops out of business in 10 or 15 years, like all the other businesses around here. And I got one common thing that all the cheap guys used to tell me: you're so expensive. And here we are 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, and I could say, you're so out of business and bankrupt. And that's all I got to say. The end game is the only game that counts. My dad used to say, he says, don't worry. If they say you're too expensive, just wait and watch, and you will see what happens. And now that I'm 30 years in my own game, owning my own business, I get to see these guys dwindle and disappear year by year. And they all, my dad used to say, you're going to notice they have this one common thread between all the owners. The owner will be either that cheap guy or he'll be that lazy guy. He always looks for the quick buck, the easy way out. So you got cheap and you got lazy, and then you have ignorant. So you'll find that guy as he's a good BSer, but he is definitely not technically skilled, but he's good at just like pointing the finger and making other people to make him money. But when things go wrong, he blames it on the people that he had do the work. He doesn't take no responsibility for himself. He has no cojones. These are the three kind of bosses you don't want to work for. And I've worked for them for a short time and fired them when I was younger, and my dad taught me how to fire bosses. You don't want cheap, you don't want ignorant, and you don't want lazy. And if you're unfortunate enough to work for a boss who's two of these, any two, you're really in trouble. You definitely got to have an exit plan. But all right, guys, that's enough for my rant today. And I thank my lucky stars. I have people who constantly recommend me to new shops, day after day, year after year, decade after decade. And it was the same thing. My grandfather ran his business the same way. My father ran his, and he taught me, and hopefully my son does the same thing. All right, see you guys.